Bring it on. Hey, there we go. We're back. Got some tunes on. It is that time. Back with my boy, the man, the myth, the legend, Chillstorm. Here to talk some more about some good old horror movies here. Let me.
Hell yeah.
so,
I'm
uh,
stoked, man. I'm really excited.
I know, yeah, I know. I knew you were amped about this one because I was like, this is a good topic. I was thinking about it. I'm like, I know we wanted to do zombies as a whole, like the zombie genre. And I thought about that. And I was like, well, that does sound amazing. That also is that's a lot to discuss.
Very broad.
That's a lot.
A
Yeah,
bit too broad.
yeah, it's a bit too broad. So we narrowed it down and we decided to talk about two of our personal favorites. Separate films here. Dawn of the Dead is, similar concepts. We'll get into it, but Dawn of the Dead by George A. Romero and Dawn of the Dead by Zack Snyder, 1978 versus 2004. So we have two classic, interesting horror films here that we'll be talking about that really, revolutionized the zombie genre here. How you doing tonight, man? Doing good?
I'm feeling I don't know about you, Dylan, but I'm feeling a little dead inside.
But yeah,
Oh yeah. No,
you
but
know.
yeah. Feeling good. Feeling good.
That was perfect. That was perfect. I love it. It's good. That's good. That's
Wa
what I
walked out of bed like a zombie this morning though.
Actually, I did the same. I legit walked out like a zombie. I thought about that with this when I woke up. I'm like, man, I legitimately feel like a zombie. It's gonna be perfect for when I come talk tonight. So, it's great.
Oh yeah.
So we're here. We're good. So, but yeah, man. So let's get into it. We have a lot
Yes.
to talk about. There's a lot going on. We have plenty of clips to show. Which we'll pull up sporadically throughout chatting. We'll take little pauses and take a look at some classic sequences and things like that. For the record, like I said, this a disclaimer just right now that this Dawn of the Dead is not for children. Some of the stuff is going to be very gory, very violent. There might be some pretty bad language in some of the scenes that we show. So just FYI to that. Some might be racially insensitive, things like that. So just keep that in mind. You've been warned, and spoiler alert, as super spoiler alert. um, but yeah, so we have lots of good stuff to talk about and chat about these films. Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Well, that really sets the stage, doesn't it? Like, disclaimer, 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 not for kids. Tuck them into bed now. Even when the original Dawn of the Dead was first released, it was unrated. I think if they would have given it to the MPAA, I believe it would have gotten X
Oof.
at the time, the X rating. So that would have been a killer for their the box office sales.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it was it's notorious for its gore,
Yeah.
and we can talk about how that was accomplished and
Yeah.
certain scenes in particular.
Absolutely.
The special effects maestro Tom Savini was behind
A legend.
uh, bringing that to life, and yes, he's a legend. He's
Absolute legend. He's been in so
probably
many.
yeah, he's the best out there that I know of. I mean, I just know a few. I know, and you had the and the Universal monster era. I believe it was Jack Pierce,
Mhm.
if I'm not mistaken, was his name, and he did all of the Boris Karloff, Frankenstein, the Mummy, Wolfman, all of those classic monsters. And I think Tom Savini is the torchbearer
The guy
from
carrying
him.
the torch for everyone there. Let me
Yeah.
ask you, kind of just to kick things off here. Since we'll start it. We'll start with 1978. Obviously, let's talk about that a bit. So what I didn't realize is, and I found this out too, is that I didn't even think about this. So the original Night of the Living Dead came out in '68.
Yes.
So this is a 10-year gap that they took just to get the next one to come out for Dawn of the Dead,
Mm,
which is pretty
yes.
crazy. That's a pretty large gap for a zombie film. I feel that Romero, now I want to know is this a film does this proceed, like, is this right after Night of the Living Dead? Does this have any relation to Night of the Living Dead? I don't know. I
Mm.
want to know what your thoughts on that. I was always wondering that. Is this something that falls right after that, or what do you think? Is this something?
Yeah, as far as continuity, plot continuity, I do believe it follows Night of the Living Dead as a true sequel. Now,
Mhm.
10 years, that's a pretty long time, you know. We usually think like zombies come, it's Armageddon,
Mhm.
bam, you only have a couple more years before everyone's zombified. I guess that's maybe a reasonable assumption.
Yeah.
I think though, so if we do want to get into like the making of behind of stuff, which
Yeah.
um so basically when Night of the Living Dead came out, like you said, 1968, it was a pretty big, it was a success, I think, in terms of just it was widely acclaimed.
Yeah.
It was something completely different, new, and it really changed the horror game. We can also say it was the first modern zombie film because before that, zombie films, there were a few.
Yeah.
You may have heard of White Zombie before with Bela Lugosi. That's from 1932. Zombies at the time, though, were based off of um,
Voodoo.
voodoo
Resurrection.
Haitian practices. So
Right.
they are basically servant slaves of a voodoo priest, and that's how they were portrayed in those earlier films. But Romero basically was drawing from the story I Am Legend,
Yeah.
and in that they were called vampires. But the thing about just that setting of it's post-apocalyptic, you have this new breed or new species that's taking over. So that was drawn more from that story than the Haitian tradition. But the thing about it is there's certainly, especially in Dawn of the Dead, are references to the voodoo folklore as well, and maybe we can kind of touch on that as
For sure.
well. But so anyway, to make a long story short, Night of the Living Dead comes out, and in between that time, George A. Romero, he didn't want to be typecast solely as a horror director. He tried some other projects. They weren't as successful as Night of the Living Dead. And it wasn't until, so he said 1978, we had a
Yeah.
10-year gap. Uh, the Italian director Dario Argento tapped him, who was a big fan of Night of the Living Dead, and said, I want to make another zombie film with you. So Romero came out to Rome,
Okay.
and he wrote the script of Dawn of the Dead there, and Argento would look at it, and he was very supportive. And so we can really thank Dario Argento for getting this film made, because he had a lot of faith in Romero to put out a masterpiece, and he did.
Yeah. It's one of the iconic ones. I was gonna say one of my chat, he brought up Audax, you know, that the 1978, and I was actually gonna mention this. 1978 was filmed in my home state of Pennsylvania. So,
And you're right about Pittsburgh too.
yeah, that's a big
So
again. That's a
it was
topic.
Monroeville.
Monroeville Mall,
That's
yeah, the Monroeville Mall.
Monroeville
And,
Mall.
yeah, and so I mean, just like let's talk about that too, because you know, while you brought that up with Romero and his kind of journey to making this film with Argento, that you know, coming to Pittsburgh, this you know, Romero is considered the father in Pittsburgh of zombies. He is people look to him as pretty much like the guy who changed it, just revolutionized the genre as a whole. He is the one who done so much for the zombie genre. And in Pittsburgh, like I said, it was filmed in Monroeville Mall, all through there. And I mean, like a lot of zombie films are filmed there. I mean, it's you got Land of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, like. It's crazy. So I mean, yeah,
What's in the water in Pittsburgh?
That's what I'm saying. Pittsburgh is a dead city. It's just the dead city, a lot of dead people. Apparently, zombies rise up. We put them down, and Pittsburgh thrives again. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. And I know I mentioned this to you, but for those in chat, and my sister is actually here, and I told her we'll definitely get my sister on the show sometime because she's a big horror fanatic too, and she would love to chat with us about something. So, but we'll get another movie to talk about, of course, in the future. But she met George Romero and got his autograph on a signed large poster of Night of the Living Dead, the original. So she still has that poster hung up in her apartment. So it is a gem, an absolute gem.
Absolutely, yeah. That's
that's something you can never.
That's an enviable possession, I have to say.
Right? It's pretty cool. It's pretty sweet. So, but yeah, let's keep talking. So we're in Pittsburgh. Obviously, we're in my home state. You know, Zombie City. It's the zombie capital, pretty much. I mean, a lot of films in general are there, not just Romero's films, but other ones get filmed there. I don't know. I'm looking at like some of your discussion topics too that you brought to me. And we talk about let's just talk about looking back. I went back and watched some of the clips from the 78 and 04 because again I hadn't seen 78 in a long time. I'm pretty familiar with 04, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But the movement of the zombies. I mean, you look back and you go back in time. You look at Romero's films when the old school from Night of the Living to Dawn of the Dead. I went back and watched some of the movement. Now, I will admit, and we'll definitely look at a clip here, and it's one of my favorites, but. When you look at the zombies, I always find it funny how the zombies, the way they move, they're very stiff. They're kind of like, some of them look like they're waddling. Some of them, their hands in Dawn of the Dead, they're in the mall. You see their hands are spread wide out there. But then the one thing that blew me away, the one thing when I saw the movement, I was like, that's some damn good movement for the time for a zombie. Was one of the main actors, the Flyboy, the guy who plays Flyboy. Can you remind me his name again that's his nickname. I forget his.
Steven.
Steven, that's right. Steven. When he comes out of the elevator sequence towards the ending of the film in the mall, and you see him kind of stumble out of the elevator and walk, I mean, the way he's moving and the way his body, and he doesn't fall over, he doesn't trip. It's just I thought it was awesome. I was like, that's actually pretty good. Like that was like creepy, like eerie zombie movement. I was like, bravo, sir. Romero, I'm sure Romero was proud of you. So, what's your thoughts on zombie movement in his movies? And then obviously we can talk about the movement in the 04, the change of pace, clearly.
Yeah, well, I think I could be wrong about this, but I believe the actors were given a bit of free rein. I think they're not exactly uniform. For example, if we can even go back to Night of the Living Dead, the first zombie that pops up in that movie, he's stumbling and running, and in fact, he is running. He's a running zombie. He's not arms stretched out. He could be a human, right?
Right.
Others are walking at a slow pace. And as far as their posture, you mentioned the outstretched arms. I wonder if that's an influence from an older Universal, well, maybe not an older one. One of the later Frankenstein films where Bela Lugosi, in fact, was playing the Frankenstein monster, and his arms were outstretched because he was blind. So he created that style of the outstretched zombie man, and I think some of the actors were probably drawing on that as well.
Yeah.
But other than just their general like gesturing, and of course you mentioned Flyboy's very we can just say it's a creepy posture, and we're going to look at that clip later here.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic scene for many reasons. Just like how he's introduced in that zombified form is chilling. But another thing is just their general behavior. If we're going to compare it to 2004 and maybe modern zombies, there's certainly a huge difference, and maybe the species of zombies has changed as well, because not only because we definitely described the older zombies, and they do tend to kind of gather and we might look at some things here where they're having like a feeding frenzy and they're just kind of ripping into people. Um, and I think that does happen a bit in the 2004 version as well, and zombie the modern zombies appetite generally speaking
Right.
has some similarities to the older zombies, but uh you don't see those outstretched arms anymore. I don't think you see even like the flyboy kind of,
esque movement.
you
No,
know,
like that. No,
no.
absolutely not. No, no, no.
How would you then, Don? I'm curious. How would you describe the modern zombies' general mannerisms and
Yeah.
posture?
You know, it's funny because like and I told this to you as we were chatting before we started. I'm pretty sure, I'm almost certain that I didn't see I didn't see the 1978 version until after I watched the '04 version first and went back and watched 78. So it was different. I was going backwards there, so I got to see the sporadic craziness, modern time zombies now before I saw the slow pace kind of stumbly, kind of just easy to kind of pass through zombies, but once they're in the hordes, you're just kind of screwed. Um, but yeah, with the
Yeah.
with the '04, the movement, I mean, the modern zombies, it's they have them at full fledged sprinting. It's they're coming at you full force like they're running a track race. It's like they're coming, they're hungry for their food, and it seems like the
Mm.
zombies in these modern time movies, a lot of them you'll see they're kind of walking at first. They're when there's nothing, they don't have any. It's like they get what's the word I'm looking for? They get like like a. I'm trying to think of the word and I can't think of it. It just left my head. Something triggers them, like like they're kind of dormant. They're just like wandering aimlessly, looking around each other. There's nothing there. But then when suddenly a human would come out in the open or something, they see that it's just immediate flip of the switch, and it activates like their one main instinct is to feed, hunger, eat, and come after you. So it's that's pretty much I mean we're only like I said I know we're ticking on these two movies, but you look ahead, Dawn of the Dead has this, and then after that, what was 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later, and then I mean there's just so many movies now that zombies. I mean I honestly don't think we'll ever go back. In my opinion, I don't think we're ever going to be able to go back now to the way that Romero filmed his zombies. I don't think that's ever going to happen because the way it's just the modern zombie era is just the sprinting mentality, full-fledged come at you. I can't think of the last movie or even show I saw that zombies were just slowly creeping towards you, and
Yes.
people were struggling, and it was like hordes and this and that. Even Resident Evil, there are times when zombies are kind of slow, but even then they kind of pick up the pace now, and they've changed that a bit. So it's the movement's interesting because it's something I don't think, like I said, that classic what we grew up with from Night of the Living and Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead. It's just that's like kind of just gone. That's lost, I feel.
Would you say that makes them scarier if they're sprinting and fast?
I so so fun story. I when I first saw, I remember when when 2004 when that came out, Dawn of the Dead. I asked my parents like if they wanted to go see it, and they, my mom and dad, they asked me, sure, it's pretty scary, and I was like, yeah, I want to see it. I forget what I was in sixth grade, maybe fifth, sixth grade, somewhere around there, and I was like, yeah, I want to see it, and they took me to see it, and I was so genuinely terrified. Like it was one of the films, man, that it legitimately scared the absolute shit out of me that I couldn't sleep for like a week because I think,
Wow.
and we'll talk about scenes when I pull those clips up, and for me, it just felt so. I mean, I was at that age, but I was just young, little, and like, I was in sixth grade, and I was just like, I think it was just the sense of realism, like, normal wife or girlfriend or whatever, her husband comes home, and it's a normal suburban area. They're in a nice neighborhood, kind of like where I'm at, where my family's at, and people are playing out in the streets, and in the East Coast, this is kind of in the East Coast anyways, and they're playing in the streets, and then everything's a normal day, and then like suddenly the clock, like shit starts to go down, and the clock strikes into 6 a.m, and boom, that's just the world's turned upside down, and it's literally Armageddon hell everywhere. And so I think it's just like
Hmm.
it just freaked me out when I was a little kid. I was like, and seeing these zombies, like, because again, like I said, I saw this. I did see Night of the Living Dead before, so I saw that slow pace and whatnot. And I think I saw Day of the Dead even, but I knew the slow pace. But when I saw this, where these zombies are coming at you full throttle, and they're like ravenous. I was like, holy shit, it scared the hell out of me. I was like, when did they learn how to sprint? I was like, wait a minute. I will say this, and I know that we can talk about this too, and you can tell me what you think about this, but granted, yes, zombies, they're sprinting, it's crazy, it is scary. However, just being, I guess, more logical, I would say Romero's are more logical and more practical, because if you're a zombie, I feel like your muscles are going to deteriorate. Everything's deteriorating. Your bodies are breaking down. Kind of like The Walking Dead. I don't know if you ever watched that show, but The Walking Dead, the zombies never sprint in that show. Like the entire 50 seasons of that show that's still going and won't stop, the zombies still just walk. And I appreciate that. That's the thing, literally the only thing carrying Romero's legacy to an extent, a sliver of an extent, where the zombies are all slow paced all the time, never sprinting. They just walk a little faster. But yeah, it's interesting, man. The movement is something that's it's something. Yeah, that's what some of my thoughts on that.
I just wanted to add to what you said with. So I pulled up a couple quotes, and I share them with you as well.
Yeah.
One from Romero and one from Stephen King. So here's what Stephen King had to say about Dawn of the Dead 2004.
Yeah.
I guess I'll read this, and then maybe
Please,
we can kind of set the stage for talking about
04?
The 2004 one. Yeah, because I don't think we've really segued into it.
Yeah, this is good. This is good segue.
So here's what Stephen King said. By 2004, only 3 years downriver from 9/11, rampant consumerism was the last thing on our minds. And so he's referring to the original Dawn of the Dead, which Romero says, and I think it's pretty clear, is satire on consumer culture. So the mall zombies are like zombies you'd find at the mall, like shoppers, right? It's kind of a joke, but so what haunted our nightmares was the idea of suicide bombers driven by an unforgiving and unthinking, most of us believed, ideology and religious fervor. You could beat them up or burn them, but they just keep coming, the news reports assured us. He goes on a bit here. But so he's saying that these zombies, in fact, are reminiscent of terrorists, post 9/11 terrorists, and that's what made them scary to the modern post 9/11 American mind.
Oh wow, yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's like I was reading that line too. Fast-moving terrorists who never quit. And it's like you can't debate with them, you can't parlay with them, you can't even threaten their homes and families with reprisals. It's interesting.
That's quite different too, because there's no possibility of reform, perhaps.
Right.
Which was the direction Romero was going with Day of the Dead. The scientists. So Day of the Dead is the 1980s sequel to Dawn of the Dead, and by this point in time, there are scientists that are trying to train zombies to become upstanding citizens.
Great time on that one. Choke on it. Sorry, it's just one of my favorite lines.
That's right. Yeah, we'll have to do we might do a Day of the Dead retrospective one of these times.
One day we'll do Day of the Dead.
But yeah, they are not to be parlayed with, the modern zombies. But Romero's idea was these zombies, in fact, he wanted to make them almost slightly sympathetic. I know, which is difficult because they're ripping people's flesh apart and, gouging out their eyes and everything else that's completely horrible. But the idea was that this is like a revolutionary movement. So this is the new breed, this is the new species, and we of the living are outmoded, outdated, and will become we're the obsolete ones.
Yeah.
So it was just a matter of time before these new zombies, these these new species take over, the zombies or whatever you want to call them. And yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. So that was the trajectory with the Romero zombies. They're starting to get smarter, and that doesn't seem to be a possibility with the new modern, as Stephen King put it, suicide bomber
Yeah.
zombie.
So like the new one, like the new zombies are not going to have any sign of real bright intelligence, as Romero was trying to do in Day of the Dead, where they were showing at least some sign of hope to, like, towards the end at least, where there was a little bit of cognitive function there, with a sliver of cognitive function in Day of the Dead, which again we'll talk about another time. But
That's right. Yeah, I think they made that pretty clear. There was the one zombie.
Yep.
They're starting to use tools, so he used his gun to shoot.
Yep.
What was the commander?
And even saluted. He saluted. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was pretty.
He was like
pretty advanced for a zombie. He was like the Einstein of zombies.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's a good way to look at it too. One thing, yeah, while we segue into the 04 version, one other quote I wanted to just, if you don't mind me reading, is that one you put down here. I liked it. It made me laugh, and I liked it a lot. Was Romero's? I'm assuming this is him talking about 04, which you had here. Is him saying, "It was better than I expected. I thought it was a good action film. The first 15 to 20 minutes were terrific, but it sort of lost its reason for being. It was more of a video game. I'm not terrified of things running at me. It's like Space Invaders. There was nothing going on underneath." It's a good quote. It's a great quote. Oh man. So yeah,
and he referenced the beginning as well, which
it's a great beginning. Yeah.
I think most people agree. You said they wake up at 6 in the morning and the world is completely changed, right?
Yeah, and that's something, like I said, that always sticks with me, that opening sequence. It's something that, like, whenever I meet people who have never seen Dawn of the Dead, the remake, like, whatever, we'll get to that in a second, but whenever people see it, I've never seen it, I say, oh man, like, you gotta watch it. Like, I feel like it's earned its place now. It's like, in my opinion, it's earned its place. It's like, it's a classic kind of horror film. Like, it's enjoyable. Like, it's definitely entertaining enough that it's good. Like, and I remember there, I think it was a quote. I saw a quote there. I was reading that it's got potential for good enough to rewatch. You know, it's got rewatchability. So, but yeah.
But you use that word remake.
Yeah. Let's talk. So we were talking about this earlier. We were chatting about remaster versus remake. What is this? Is it
reimagining, repurposing? What is it? Well,
let me ask you one quick question.
Yeah.
While you're thinking of that, and maybe you can tell me, because I don't know this. I'm asking this just simply. Maybe you know. Did Zack Snyder, did he consult any help from Romero on this film? Did he reach out to him for anything, or any production or anything on this film, or was this simply a film based off of his original? Like, do you know that? I don't know that. I was just wondering if you had any insight.
I don't believe so, and I don't think so.
Okay.
I think he was brought in based. So I guess this is his first film, Zack Snyder, and if I guess we kind of know his modern filmography. What genre would that be, Don? So that's like
action,
superhero action, flashy stuff, right?
Yep.
And I guess before this movie, his first feature-length film, he was doing commercials, which Romero as well. That's how he got his start in Pittsburgh. They were filming commercials. And then they raised enough money and equipment to make Night of the Living Dead. Thank God. So Snyder, I guess, was brought in because he was, seen as being competent, and he could put together this modern vision. So the producers and the people that own the rights to Dawn of the Dead, they wanted to put out a modernized version of a zombie film where it relied more on, you kind of mentioned, realism. So the idea was Zack Snyder's vision was making this seem as realistic as possible, grounded, I guess, so to speak. Now, I guess I wouldn't necessarily say that 1978 is not grounded. They're both works of fantasy,
Yeah.
but the idea is, I guess, because we're using modern special effects,
Hmm.
gone are the days of Tom Savini's uh, masterworks
Right.
in making, latex and goo come to life as real gore. Now we're doing everything with computers. And, I think as far as an aesthetic choice, like obviously I'm not gonna I don't think most people will rag on like those sort of special effects.
Right.
But the fact is, I think is for my general preference, I definitely lean towards the practical, especially when they're done very well.
Yeah. Same here.
And if you watch Dawn of the Dead, they are done well. It's
No.
pretty
Yeah.
gross.
It's gross, man. I'm like you. I love practical effects. If you can pull it off and make it look good, 100% I would rather, because like I don't want to see CGI. I want to see I want to see practical makeup, practical effects, practical everything. Like if you can do it, do it. If you can do it well.
Now, though, to get back on so when this movie came about, the premise was there. The premise is basically the same as the original 1978 Dawn of the Dead, being it's about a group of survivors of this outbreak of zombieism, so to speak, and they end up at a mall defending themselves, right?
Yep.
That's basically the premise. But apart from that, it's completely different in tone, everything about it. It's its own thing. So I kind of wonder, is it even appropriate, really? I mean, of course, this is what we're doing. We're comparing the films.
Yeah.
But is it really appropriate to compare them when they really don't have much in common other than that general premise?
Yeah, like location premise, kind of like where the story is based. Like they're in a mall. They're kind of like locked down in a mall to, keep away from the undead and try to get out and try to survive.
Yeah, more or less.
More or less.
But that's basically where the comparisons, I think, end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can kind of get into like the nitty gritty. I don't know if we want to go into plot. I think we could kind of scratch the surface on what's going on as far as when we look at the clips.
Yep.
I do want to point something out, Dylan, and this watching. So, the first time I ever saw the 2004 Dawn of the Dead, I was a kid as well, but I must have just seen parts of it on TV. Like I never really sat down and watched it from beginning to end. I did, but I always saw it in these bits and pieces. So I can't say the same for my experience of watching the 1978 one. I watched that with the lights off at 11 o'clock at night, so that shit scared me, dude. But there's one huge difference between these movies, and you would think that this is something that the movies would have in common, but what we end up having is this is a movie about zombies in the mall, right? Well, the zombies in 2004, they don't go in the mall. They're in the parking lot.
Yeah. There's only one moment where you get them in the mall, and that's like pretty much the ending or the climax of the film when they're escaping, where they break into the garage, and that's it. But yeah, you're right. The zombies in 78 are all throughout the mall versus the ones in 04 they're just sitting outside the parking lot.
These are not capitalist zombies.
Yeah.
They're just loiterers.
Capitalist zombies. And look, the loiterers. Watch out for the loiterers.
They're just hanging out in the parking lot.
They're just trying to tailgate,
They're tailgating zombies. There you go.
They're tailgating zombies. They just want to have a barbecue. They're waiting for the nearest store. It's Black Friday.
They're waiting for the meat.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, they are kind of like Black Friday shoppers. You're
yeah,
right.
You think about it.
That's a good. There's some good social satire. I don't know if that. that has really been explored in a zombie movie yet. But if it, I'd like to see that because,
Black
yeah,
Friday
I think
Zombies. Oh
that's
man,
an easy comparison to make,
you know,
and that would be right in line with the original Dawn of the Dead's social satire, because yeah, I don't want to cut you off there,
oh, you're
Dylan,
fine.
but
No,
just that was basically the idea is once our heroes in the original night Dawn of the Dead get to the mall, the place is already flooded with zombie shoppers. And so they're
yeah,
kind of reacting, reliving what they did as they were when they were living.
right.
But so I the idea is, yeah, look at these,
I know I can. Yeah, I was gonna say. Sorry to cut you off. I was just gonna say.
mm,
And I was just gonna crack a joke here, but I was, I was gonna say, I can just see myself now this holiday season, right after Thanksgiving. I'll be sitting in line at Target with my mom for Black Friday, and then suddenly I'll see the something coming at me in the parking lot, and I'll say, "Oh shit, Sam, we were right. We were right. It's Black Friday zombies."
those tailgating
Oh
zombies.
no, they know the prices are being cut this Black Friday. They're hungry.
No, that stuff to me, I don't want to get too
You're
off
good, yeah.
track here,
It's
but
definitely fun.
some of those I mean, I think we've all seen no and no joke, some of those Black Friday shopping scenes are quite horrific.
Right?
You've had tramplings and people getting pressed up against the glass, and
Yeah,
that's
shoved,
all
pushed.
things you will see in a Romero film.
Yeah,
Those zombies pressed up against the glass, that is Dawn of the Dead. There's at least one or two scenes that feature that. People getting stepped on, they're all bumbling up the escalators and falling over each other. That's all
yeah.
stuff you'll see in a shopping mall. So,
It's it's that sense of like he creates that mass hysteria, that mass panic. That and that creates realism where it's like that would happen. Like if this suddenly we wake up, emergency broadcast is on, shit's going down, people are gonna panic. People are gonna people are gonna. It's just natural. People panic. So I wanted to kind of bring it back, and I'd say that one of my chat members, Audax, with the question with the remake versus remaster, he suggests the '04 could be considered a modern retelling, a modern retelling of Dawn of the Dead. So with
yeah,
with Snyder's modern take on it. So yeah, I could definitely see that. Like I could agree with that. I've only seen the 2004, so it's clearly the best one. Hey, Steed. Another one of my chat members. Got to go back and watch the. See, the problem with Dawn of the Dead, the '78. When I was talking to Sam about this, Chillstorm here, we were. I couldn't find anywhere to watch it. He had to send me. He sent me a place to watch it on. It was on YouTube. So thank God I was able to find it there. And then because it's just like I was only trying to get some clips from it, but I definitely need to go. I'm gonna probably go look for it and try to buy it at one of my local stores here to try to one of like the retro stores that has like those Blu-rays, because yeah, it's definitely one to own for the collection. So Dawn of the Dead's on all streaming services where you couldn't find down the '04 is everywhere where you can't find the '78 anywhere on any streaming service. It's ridiculous. So my
what a
God,
shame.
I know.
What a shame. It's
Yeah.
the exact opposite of Night of the Living Dead, which is in the public domain, so you can find that anywhere.
Yeah. I looked up that one. It was everywhere. It's on HBO. It's like, come on. I like have HBO Max, and there it is. I'm like, Jesus.
It was on Peacock too, and they put the
Yeah.
Universal logo before. It's like, this isn't a Universal movie. What are you guys doing? You could get this from your local library. It's just, yeah.
Ooh.
No, it's in the public domain, so go definitely watch Night of the Living Dead if you haven't. But
Absolutely.
as far as like, do you need to watch it before you watch Dawn of the Dead? No.
Yeah.
They're standalone films, but that was it's another interesting difference between these movies is that the remake of Dawn of the Dead is not a sequel to a remake of Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
In fact, Night of the Living, it's more similar in a lot of ways to Night of the Living Dead. Now, why do I say that? It's because Night of the Living Dead, people are waking up to this new world. This is like day one. We start with a brother and sister. They're going to visit their parents' grave, and they see the first ghoul, the first zombie. They didn't know about them beforehand. So it's similar to the remake of Dawn of the Dead, the retelling, the re whatever,
Reimagining, yeah.
in that we're given a world that is not zombified, and then they wake up in the morning, and here we have a zombie world.
Yeah.
So in the original Dawn of the Dead, you're just thrown into the chaos from the get-go. It's
Yeah.
a zombie world already. People, so the National Guard is out, and
Yeah.
you got rednecks that are like kind of
Getting their trucks and getting their
having
guns,
fun
having a good
and
time, going
yeah.
nuts. And we'll see some clips with my favorite biker gang in '78. So I do want to say too, we had a question in chat. It was, do you think another remake will be made in 10 years? Perhaps Jordan Peele will direct. I don't know, man. Another Dawn of the Dead remake? Like, that'd be pretty crazy. If we got 3 Dawn of the Deads, we'll have a multiverse of Dawn of the Deads.
That's an interesting question, actually,
Right?
especially because you threw
Peele,
Jordan
too.
Peele in there, who I'm certainly I think we're both here, Dylan, big fans.
Yeah, he's done some great work. His last 3 films, Get Out, Nope, and Us, or Get Out, Us, and Nope, in that order. So, yeah, he's Jordan. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if Jordan Peele is the kind of guy that would direct a zombie flick. He doesn't strike me as that kind of director. Like he likes the movies that make you think. A lot of his films, there's a lot of stuff to think about in his films. Like he likes to really get the audience guessing, getting you thinking, questioning things. Versus he doesn't strike me as the kind of person who would film something that's, a lot of gore, zombies, horror, like that kind of horror, right? Like he's a different type of horror, like that more psychological, in my opinion, or thriller horror.
Yeah, I think if there was going to be a remake of Dawn of the Dead, it would have to be some new generation that we haven't been exposed to yet. Because I might be wrong about this, but Dawn of the Dead, the 2004, is about 20 years old now. It's not.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
It's not a spring chicken.
It's crazy.
It might be time for someone else to kind of think, all right, if we have this progression from the voodoo slave servants to Romero's zombies to Zack Snyder's style of the rabid, sort of ravenous sprinting things, what's going to be the next?
Sprinting.
What's going to be the next in line?
I love that quote from the night. Sprinting things. It's a great. Makes me happy. Dude, I was to say, I just was curious, and I pulled it up here because we were talking about it earlier. Just about you mentioned Zack Snyder. That was like his first film was Dawn of the Dead, and I was just looking through his. Just kind of like what he's planning, what's on his menu coming up, right? I'm curious what this man's, because he's done some interesting films in his time. We talked about it. He's done, superheroes. He did your film Watchmen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, did Watchmen. He did Wonder Woman. He did Sucker Punch, 300, Rise of the Empire. He did Aquaman, Suicide Squad, the 1 and 2. Oh no, he didn't do 2. I think Zack Snyder's not on that one. I think that was.
Was that James Gunn?
Yeah, that was Gunn. Gunn did.
James Gunn, who in fact wrote the screenplay for the Dawn of the Dead 2004.
Yeah, which is crazy to me. That's bananas. But he is
so
coming
these guys
out.
are the modern. These
Modern
guys
day.
are kind of like a cream of the crop in terms of putting out blockbusters, and so they really have their finger on the pulse.
Correct.
And so I see why this modern genre of zombies has really took steam, especially in the past maybe 15 years. And maybe that train is slowing down. That train to Busan is slowing down.
We had that mentioned earlier in chat. It was one of Audax who said that some of our discussion was reminding him of Train to Busan zombies. I'm like, yes, that train's actually halted at the station right now. It's it needs to pick up a few more stragglers. So Snap Mad Rush, thank you for the tier 1 sub, man. 29 months, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. We are chatting about Dawn of the Dead. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that.
He's rushing madly like a Zack Snyder zombie.
Exactly. Mad Rush is rushing away, mad rushing away from the zombies, from Zack Snyder's ravenous things. It's funny. It's speaking of Zack Snyder too. While we're on him, Army of the Dead. I definitely want to bring that up because I want to talk about that sometime in the future. We'll definitely not now, but we'll put that on the pipeline. Like Day of the Dead as a retrospective. We should do a retrospective in that because it made me think of when you brought up the thing about zombies becoming smarter in Day of the Dead. We got to see a glimpse of like the Einstein of zombies, as you said. And Army of the Dead. We take a deep look into zombies learning how to communicate, learning how to become it's like a clan, like they're like a horde. They stick together like a tribe, and they communicate with each other. And there's things they do. They notice they can kind of talk in a way. It's so weird, but I don't know. That movie I found really entertaining. It's definitely not like by no means like amazing, but it's fun. It's a fun, entertaining zombie, and he's making a second one, so can't believe that it's actually in the progress. So. We'll definitely have to do a retrospective on that when you have time to watch that, because I think I'd like to know what your thoughts are on that to see what you feel. So, but we'll get to that.
Well, if that's the case, it seems like he is taking a page out of Romero's trajectory in a way, like where that was the it's been a while, but I'm pretty sure that's similar to Land of the Dead, where you have like zombie encampments.
Exactly.
They're outside the gate. The humans that are still alive, they're under like they're living in these sort of these compounds ruled by this upper class. I think Dennis Hopper is like the big boss.
Yep, found him downtown Pittsburgh.
And there you go. So this is again post-apocalyptic. Is it supposed to be Pittsburgh?
It 100%. Yeah, the building they filmed in is the PPG Paints building, I believe. That's what it is, which is downtown. That where they had the housing all the people and whatnot, all the rich people that can stay there. And you had John Leguizamo's group trying to get there, and what a movie.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, and I'm glad. I mean, I don't think it's any strange coincidence, Dylan, that that's your hometown, and so I think it's just perfect.
It's
I think it's just perfect. You're able to shine some light on that, because that's way out of my ballpark.
I know.
I haven't been east of Colorado.
I know. Hopefully someday when you come back to the States to visit, we can meet up and take a trip there and show you my home, so you can see the true zombie town. You'll get there, and there won't be anyone around. It'll be dead. It'll be dead there.
Oh well, that's what I'm hoping for.
I had Mad Rush said 2004 remake is my favorite zombie movie. I was like, hey man, I'm a fan. I'm a big fan. So it's one of my personal favorites, and we've been talking about that tonight. So definitely check out the start of our VOD and all the discussion. We have a lot going on. So we're gonna show some clips here in a little bit, pretty soon. So one thing I just wanted to mention, I don't know if you saw on my stream here, I have the two movie posters for both Dawn of the Dead. And I love how both of them do have their title, When There's No More Room in Hell, the dead will walk the earth. You can't read the one on the other poster. It's a little small, but it says the same thing. I don't know. What are your thoughts of the posters? I mean, they're pretty... The original one's really interesting. It's kind of creepy. It's got that ominous, it's like a weird looking zombie head, like blood over his face, blood red eye. Kind of got like a vampire-esque look in a way to me. It's got a little bit of a vampire, all straight pale, just ominous, nothing else. It's just this.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's one of my favorite movie posters of all time for sure. It's kind of simple in a way, but it's very effective. The zombie, I don't know if I ever thought of it as being vampiric, although I take your point there. It almost has pointy ears.
Yeah, like from his pointy ears.
It always give me this kind of like sickly vibe. It's sort of it looks like this was a guy that went through some terrible events. He has I think if you watch some of the zombies have similar looking disfigurements, so I think within the context of the movie too, it's like doubly effective.
Yeah.
But that tagline is like you said, this is all ominous, creepy. This is the sun, right? This is Dawn of the Dead, so the zombies are, you know,
Yeah.
this they're the ones bringing in the new day.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. Now the one on the right,
Let me say something. Now that I just had a thought in my head because before you rip my favorite one apart.
just the poster, just the poster.
And I'm gonna say this because now you got me thinking. You got my brain turning a bit here. When you said like Dawn of the Dead, the sun rising, like it looks like for both posters, like, you know, you have like the sun rising, like the head of that zombie coming above, like it's like the death coming, like Dawn of the Dead, and then the Snyder poster, like in the background, you kind of have the sun eclipsing over the zombies, kind of coming through. It's kind of like they're coming out of hell into our reality here, and it's like, you know, they're all creeping on. That's kind of how now I kind of like look at it a little bit. Like it's just seeing that when you mentioned that it's just like that aura behind them is hell. They're crawling out of whatever, and they're coming. But let me hear your thoughts on this, because I can see that smile. And I know you're like, well, let me talk about this poster.
Yeah, no, I mean, look,
I love it.
this is it. Excuse me. We're doing a comparison here. It's versus we're in the ring.
Yeah, we're in the that's why I have my championship belt here and my wrestling figures on my desk.
That's right.
We're in the championship ring here. Oh man.
Now, I'm not gonna lay down the finishing move here. Maybe I'll throw like a limp clothesline.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, give it a limp clothesline.
Yeah, I think just as far as comparison goes, it certainly is fits the modern vibe and aesthetic. Like this is something you would expect to see, as far as it looks to me like computer graphics, right? I would imagine that's not a painting.
Yeah.
And it certainly looks ominous as well. You don't see any zombies there. It's just like the shadows are lengthening, I guess. Almost like they are these sort of they are part of the day as well, this new day.
Yeah.
And instead of us having the embodiment of the dawn with that zombie head, they're sort of like complementing it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get too off track here, but I do feel like a lot of zombie movies these days, the zombies are not exactly the focus. They're sort of ancillary to these other conflicts that are emerging between the main characters. And the most egregious example, I have to say, if we have a favorite zombie movie, my least favorite was the sequel to Train to Busan.
That was horrible.
I did not recommend that movie at all. It was
same here. I agree with you. Yeah, I told my sister about it because she's in the chat, and I told her, like, because I loved Train to Busan personally. I loved the first one, but yeah, the sequel was such a disappointment. It was, I can't believe it was just couldn't stand it. So,
and I feel like, well, this is this is maybe the time to start something fresh, because a lot of the tropes just keep repeating and playing out with this modern genre. And this poster doesn't strike me so much as being like something I'd want to put on my wall, but it's clearly competent, and I think it fits the general vibe of the movie as well.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
So yeah, that's all I have to say.
No, that's good, man. No, that's good stuff. And my sister keeps saying, we definitely want to see Sombrero Man. After I told you, I was like, I told her we'll get to it. We're gonna look at some clips here shortly. Mad Rush says character-driven zombie movies. Yeah, it's like I feel like a lot of the, like, I agree with you 100% though. Today is like with you, Sam, is that that zombie movies today they're lacking that focus on the zombie. It's more now about conflict with the survivors or conflict with the people, like the main characters. Something's going on. Like it's less of a focus on the zombie itself. It's more just these battles between people. Like in Walking Dead, the show derails to that. Walking Dead really kind of played off as, you know, it was all the zombies, and it was like that for quite a while, and then it started to you know, veer off and go more focused on the survivors going against each other, the people in the group turning on each other, things like that. Other groups spread out that are attacking other people and trying to take over areas and supplies and ravage and this and that. It wasn't less on the zombie. It wasn't like the zombie was there, but they're just kind of in the background. They weren't really affecting them that much. So
Yeah, it's almost like they have everything under control, which takes away the horror from it.
Exactly.
Because the horror is that it's a numbers game. It's a matter of time before you're next.
Yeah.
Everybody, you know, we'll look at some scenes here, but all of the main characters in Dawn of the Dead, they're doomed. And this is also true of the 2004 film as well, but not true of like that sequel to Train to Busan, where basically once we introduced a kid into the mix and you have these characters, the main characters, they get a pass to survive. Well, then it's just like any other action movie where the heroes are victorious over the villains. We know the villains are going to lose, the good guys win. Bam. You do not have that security blanket with zombie movies. You did not have it with Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, any of them. You're going to be eaten alive or killed by friendly fire or something.
Yeah, exactly. Mad Rush said, I think the battery is a good example. I'm not sure the battery. Not sure.
I'm not sure either.
Is
that a film?
Yeah, if that's a film, Mad Rush, let me know. Firefly says drama. It's just pretty much focusing on the drama for the battles between survivors and them. So, but while you're getting that, you think it's ready to take a look at some clips? Ready to start looking at some clips here?
Let's do it.
Let's take a look. So let me kill the music in the background here. Let me exit out of here. Let me exit out. Let's get some of these tabs closed off here. Okay, so I think we'll start it off. Let's do the apartment raid. Yeah, that's a good one for 78. Let's kick it off with 78 first, since that's a good one. So, see the battery. The battery is 2012. Worth it for the soundtrack. I'll check it out. We'll take a look. The battery is good. Okay, Hasty said it. Okay, yeah, I'll take a look at the battery. I'll look it up after this is over, and we can maybe try to get that on the list someday here too, because we definitely have lots of stuff to talk about. But yeah, we're gonna take a look at multiple clips now from 1978 and 04, Dawn of the Dead here. So we'll play the clip and then we'll kind of chat a little bit about it afterwards, and kind of give you a little bit of breakdown here of some of our Sam and I's favorite scenes from these films. So yeah, let me share my screen. Give me a second here. I'm gonna transition. 1 second. Let me get this set up because I know I'm gonna screw this up. Oh, here we go. So I'm gonna transition to the new screen here. And okay. Let me make sure my web capture is capturing here. Here we go. Okay. Let me know. You can see it on your end, Sam, yeah? I think you should be able to see it.
Yeah, it's paused right now.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. So, yeah, I'll play it right now. I kind of scrubbed ahead to 2 minutes, about 47 minutes in, so 47 seconds in, I mean. So, yeah, here we go.
You little bastards!
Goddamn.
Bully's gone ape shit, man.
Shoot it, man. Shoot it in the head.
Shroom with
Oh,
my
well.
orange.
And an ad comes on. Stupid ads. Sorry, I don't have YouTube Premium. Well, we can pause it there for a minute. Let me knock this ad out here, and then we'll play a little bit more of this clip here. Of course, thanks YouTube. Not YouTube Premium here. Need a little bit more here.
Yeah, we're living the 21st century for sure, Dylan.
Yep. Stupid ads. Oh, this part's gross.
Yep.
Oh. Just that, like, that there. Jeez. And we'll pause it here. Oh, yeah. Jeez. So I think that's where we'll stop it there on that one. But yeah, let me bring it back. That is the raid sequence. Shoot it. That's clay, not actual meat. The chat. Oh my god. So yeah, man, talk about it. That is one of your scenes that you recommended. I forgot about that because I hadn't seen 78 in so long, and I remember that is a really graphic scene with not with just the its language, with the way everything's happening. It's very dark. It's very scary, and like I said, that blood in that time, I'll admit, like I said, when I first saw that blood, it was something else. I mean, it was disgusting. It was hard to watch. It was gross. I mean, it was like the makeup and the practical effects were just incredible.
Yeah, this scene made quite an impression on me the first time I watched the film. I must have been about 12 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd never seen anything quite like that portrayed in film. Not the violence, not, zombies, of course, that was not unfamiliar. It was the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
So we started the clip with one of the characters. He was going rogue, and he was opening up people's apartments and blasting their heads off. These are not zombies. So I had never seen that sort of murderous hate uh, on screen before. I guess the thought had never occurred to me that someone could go on a rampage and just so gleefully murder other humans.
Yeah.
So it was stomach turning to me. And so already I'm like, whoa. And then you start seeing, I guess you can't really call them cannibals, but essentially it's cannibalism where the zombies are biting chunks of flesh out of their former loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes. And then later on, so we find out the reason why they raided the building is that these people who are mostly ethnic minorities, that's where that guy was shooting people because he's essentially this racist murderer.
Mm-hmm.
They were burying the dead and keeping the dead in the basement. And so there's a scene later on where two of our heroes in the film later, they discover all of the squirming dead wrapped up in funeral garments, and they just execute them all. And it's quite grim. It's sad in a way as well.
Yeah.
And it's like a great way to start the movie because it's just iconic, legendary.
And I was gonna say, just because you brought this up to me earlier, and I know if you wanted to talk about it, just the comparison to The Boys. I know it's something we'll eventually talk about on the podcast here, but just this sequence comparing to season 2, one of the episodes in The Boys with Stormfront.
Yeah, so this scene is very reminiscent of a certain sequence in the TV show The Boys, which is about a amoral superheroes essentially. And one of them um, goes into an apartment complex and just starts murdering innocent people for no reason, going up row after row. And there is a racist angle as well, similar to this scene. So
Yeah.
if you and it's also a very disturbing scene for many reasons. One, it's kind of like, oh, it's a bit of a twist
Right.
because we've been led to kind of find this character a bit sympathetic and charming. But now, well, early it's quite shocking. But yeah, it's very similar. So definitely, I
High
recommend
recommendation for both of us.
just
That.
watching that, and of course, I think that's something we'll talk about in further detail.
Yeah,
But
we'll get to
yeah,
that.
just that unmitigated violence and hatred, it's just raw. Um, so
Yeah.
that's a good way to start off our clips here, Dylan. Maybe we can check out something from the 2004 as a bit of a palate cleanser.
Yes, we will. So let me close out of that one. So yeah, now let's go to. We're gonna jump to 2004. We're gonna go to. We're gonna do this as a kind of a two-parter, just because it's basically the same. I can only pull it though in I think separate clips. So we're gonna watch a little bit of the opening sequence of Dawn of the Dead's '04, and also the intro sequence a little bit. So let me pull these up here, and I'll kind of scrub through them a little bit. Yes, Mad Rush, you are correct. It is a scene with Stormfront. I did mention her on stream here, but it is season 2. I just don't want to give too much away because I don't know who's seen it, who's not, since it's still a pretty current show and they're currently filming another season. So, but yeah, we can always talk offline it as well, and I can always text you and stuff. But yeah, so let's. I'm gonna transition back. Let's pull it up here. Okay, and bring it up. So this is the intro to Dawn of the Dead 2004. So here we go. This is another one of those scenes that, like I told Sam earlier in the podcast, that this is the one that for me, really, this one, like, kind of how you were just disturbed and freaked out. This one just freaked me out and disturbed me for the sense of realism. And like I said, wake up and everything is just gone. Everything is hell on Earth. So here we go. Oh, sorry, wrong one. This one.
Vivian's here. Vivian, honey.
Why isn't she sprinting?
Right? That was the one thing that always was a little bit confusing to me, is that she comes in, it's like she's still kind of there, but she's not. And then she comes in.
Oh no, it's
I know, that's something we can talk about. That was the only thing I was like,
Call an ambulance.
that's quite the reveal. That's disgusting.
oh, man. I thought she just throws her. I always thought that was great. Jesus. Fucking hops up. Oh, God. I mean, I thought this was crazy how fast he turned, too. It was like really quickly. Really quickly he turns.
Yeah, we can talk about that too.
Yeah, because she tries to call the cops. He tells him, hold it.
Let go, let go.
I'll skip ahead too a little bit in this sequence because I want to fast forward a little bit too. Yeah. How all circuits gone. I mean, that was just like, oh my god.
Don't do this to me, please don't do this to me.
And I just love how you see him in the background. Just
Lewis? Lewis, what are you doing?
Jesus. Eyes are all changed and everything. Oh, golly. Yeah, I'll fast forward now to the escape out of the house here. He pulls a little bit of a Jack Nicholson here.
Louis?
That's right.
Pulls a bit of a Shining here. Here's Johnny.
Here's Zombie.
Yeah, here's Zombie. Yeah, this part. Out of the house. Here. Dude, so lucky. Doesn't fumble the keys. I'm impressed. Most horror people always fumble the keys. This guy.
Get back, Anna. Get back!
Jesus, just tell me what's going on.
I told you to get back.
Yeah, man, this scene when I was a kid like freaked me out. So I was like, it's kind of like a neighborhood, like we had a nice neighborhood like this when I was in the East Coast. So it's like to see all this going to hell. I was like, whoa. And like he drives through, he just turns his attention, gives up on her. Says, screw it, I'm gonna go to this person. Like I like how you just drive it through. It's just chaos. And the pan out, it's just explosions everywhere. And you see, if you look on the left side of the screen, you see the ambulance coming in at 100 miles an hour and crashes into the car.
And lock all doors and windows. Miller Park no longer considered a safe haven. Please avoid the stadium and proceed to other locations. Meanwhile,
Kaboom.
Yeah, so, and then like she ends up driving a little forward and then eventually gets run off the road because some guy tries to jump in her car with her. And we get this opening sequence. It was also kind of creepy to me when I was like, where you see all this, and it's use a similar font style too as the original one.
I'll take your questions.
Is it a virus?
We don't
That's
know.
right.
We don't know.
How does it spread? Is it airborne?
We don't know.
That is a possibility. We don't know.
Is this an international health hazard or a military concern?
Both.
Are these people alive or dead?
We don't know.
Is that true?
And then Johnny Cash. Great song.
Take a name. And he decides who to free and who to blame.
But yeah, Johnny Cash coming in, and we'll transition back. I can't play that whole song on stream, or I'll get DMCA'd. So let me bring it back here. Let me see what the chat was saying here. Can't wait to see the Chips the dog. Oh, this is a comfort movie for me. Seen it a dozen or so times. That's a great comfort movie. You know, it's something I watch around Christmas with the family. I like to watch apocalyptic movies. Did you all talk about the fountain scene yet near the beginning of when they get into the mall? We did not, actually. We did not talk about that one. Ving Rhames is a legend. I love Ving Rhames. Oh, shit.
That's one of the few scenes where the zombies are actually in the mall in this movie.
That's right. So, but yeah, that opening sequence is pretty iconic. I feel like it's earned its place. Like it's one of those ones where a lot of people know of, or at least have seen it. Like that, 6 a.m. they go. I mean, hell, they even make fun of that. I don't know if you know this, but they make fun of that. Not make fun of it, but they bring it up in 40-Year-Old Virgin. You've seen that movie?
Yes.
And do you remember?
I don't quite remember that scene. What happens exactly?
Let me see if we can hear. We'll just let's see here. Hold on. See if I can find it. What do you own? Dawn of the Dead. Let me see if I can find it when he's watching it. Yeah. Here. Okay. So just here for reference, so you can see it. It's they even brought it up in this movie where he's watching it on the TV in the store that Steve Carell and him work at.
Oops. Hey, what you watching?
Dawn of the Dead, man.
Oh, great.
Store's slow. Paula's gone. Yo, is Paula back?
No, she's not here.
She said we can't watch this in here.
I know. Can I ask you something in confidence? I know this is gonna sound weird. But am I good looking? Do you think a woman would find me attractive?
Oh my God! Oh my God! The blood.
Okay, never mind.
Oh, wait.
So yeah, that's when they go away. I think he just pans away, and you just see Dawn of the Dead playing the whole time in the background. It's ridiculous. So yeah, hey, it made it in 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yeah, that's pretty. That was contemporary for the time.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, wow, So, but yeah, that is that opening sequence. Yeah, it's just something that's always I always remember that when I was going to the theaters and whatnot and seeing it for the first time, especially just that opening riff with Johnny Cash and stuff. It was I always thought it was a pretty badass opening when I was watching it, especially as a kid. I was like, Johnny Cash. Best part of the '04, and one of my chats says, best part of '04 is the cover of Down with the Sickness by Richard Cheese. Song was fire. Actually, it was pretty good. Actually, the you've heard that one, right? The get up,
Yeah.
come on, get down with the sickness.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. That's the soundtrack. I do have to say, Dylan, I was a little confused by some of
Music choices.
the musical choices of this film. Now, not that, I think it works for the movie, but it's certainly maybe that's that juxtaposition between something that's like, having the rabid sprinting things coming at your screen and playing Disturbed, because they also play the actual
Yeah.
Down with the Sickness later on, right?
Yeah, the
So
end of the film is they close it out with the actual Down with the Sickness.
so the zombies, these zombies in the olden days, zombies used to moan and groan, right? But modern zombies go wah. You know, they really do squeal though. They're squealing sort of things.
Yeah.
That's that's something I forgot to mention when we were talking about the mannerisms, but the vocalizations of
The
the modern
zombies.
zombie are very different from the classic sort of conception.
Because the classic zombies are it's all the kind of like the subtle groans, grumbles, moans. Like it's some of that. Not like because I'm trying to remember. And again, I have to go back. I'm gonna rewatch after today. I'll probably find a time to watch both 78, Night of the Living this weekend, and just rewatch this because it's been such a long time. But I just remember like the like that, like that kind of noise that.
And those were deliberate soundtrack choices.
Yeah.
So later on we're going to hear the gonk. I'm
Mhm.
sure as one of our clips, that song. So it's part of the mall music,
Classic.
and it's classic.
It's
So this
iconic.
is all like stock music. That there's a lot of stock music choices in Dawn of the Dead, as well as some original compositions from Dario Argento's band Goblin.
Mhm.
So you have
Oh,
all
cool.
these cool synths, but yeah, what
The
where
synth
was I
is
getting with
great.
that?
The synth is
So
great.
the in the gonk, the moans and groans were overlaid with the song as well. So it's quite eerie actually because of this goofy song,
Yeah. Yeah.
it kind of like it slows down, it gets quieter, quieter, and then all that's left is this groaning and wailing. So it's quite
Well, I think that's a good
spooky.
I think that's a good segue. I think we should watch that scene because that's a good segue. So before we do that, I'm gonna transition to that. That's a great clip that I'll have here ready to go. And my mom says hi, and she also says loved World War Z.
Oh, okay.
Brad Pitt.
I see.
Brr. All right, so let's transition here. Let's go back and we'll watch that classic clip here. That's one of my favorites too from '78's. Pull it up, and let me see. Okay, here we go. Let's turn it up a bit. I don't want it to be too loud. Here we go. I love the ones that are just spread the arms. You can see them. What I love is you see them feasting too, like still feasting while those are wandering around. Here we go. The movement I was telling you about. Just great. And that creepy music. That like ugh. The way he comes out here. Like he's just. Oh, it's great. Dragging his foot like all bent and doesn't fall. Oh my god. All right. Impressive, sir.
So we have our mall shoppers here.
Yeah, right.
They're just like us. Just a little clumsier.
Right. That noise. The zombie with the gun.
He was never much of a sharpshooter.
Boom, boom, boom. Coming in hot tonight, man. You're coming on fire tonight with these dead quotes here. Dawn of the Dead and killing it. It's like you see them like.
What is it?
Steven. As they start getting more.
They're coming up.
You know, like hungry, kind of get, and they get together in hordes. They kind of amp up a bit more. In this. It's...
Yes, definitely.
I think that's when he waits for him to come in, and we say goodbye to our boy here. Say farewell. It's a lot of blood too. It's a splatter. So, man, what a scene! And then while we're just real quickly, just speaking of blood and splatter, so we'll bring this up and we can talk a bit about both of these scenes. This one was one of the ones that really, when I first saw it, it made me laugh a little bit because it was a bit cheesy, but I still love it because it is so gory and like it kind of. I remember first seeing this and I was like, oh my god, like his head just gets chopped off, like, and it's like it's so nonchalantly. It's just like, oh yeah. And so yeah, it's you can hear the zombie making the noise. Boom. It's just, just blood spewing out of his head.
It's oozing and dripping.
Yeah. I love he just looks because he's like, oh. And there's that music, I think you were mentioning, the synth. Is it that synth music? Like that weird kind of ominous tune that constantly plays throughout the Dawn of the Dead movie.
Yes, I believe that would be one of their musical keys. So basically, just as an aside, there are really two main cuts of Dawn of the Dead. So earlier in the chat, I mentioned how Dario Argento kind of commissioned this movie and got it going. Well, in Italy and in Europe, I suppose, there's actually a cut made by Argento.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't use the stock music. He doesn't use the gonk. I don't even believe this scene is in the European cut, which is really a shame because that's one of the best scenes of the movie.
Yeah.
But all of the music is from this progressive rock band called Goblin, and they use a lot of synths. And there is some of that mixed with the stock music in Dawn of the Dead, and I think rather effectively, especially in the Flyboy scene we just watched. You hear the gonk going da 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 da, and then it just you have this reverb that goes da 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 da, and then well, you can hear for yourself, but it's very dissonant and chilling.
Yeah, it's like it was every time it panned over to Flyboy Steven. It was every time you saw him that reverb of the gonk would happen and give you that kind of spinal chill. So no, yeah, that's a great one. And out of sake of time, I'm just gonna I did away with the motorcycle clip, but I'm just gonna show the final two. What's it called? The last two quick clips of the Dawn of the Dead 04, which was the kind of the nod to Romero's with the "No more room left in hell" quote, and then the just kind of one camera shot that I thought was really cool in Dawn of the Dead. One of my favorite shots in cinematography there for like horror. So yeah, let me transition back here. We'll take a look and see these two scenes. My mom says, I'm going to step right over all these obstacles. The zombies. It's pretty good. So here we go. Let's check out this one. This is
Hell is overflowing, and Satan is sending his dead to us. Why? Because you have sex out of wedlock. You kill unborn children. You have men-on-man relations, same-sex marriage. How do you think your God will judge you? Well, friends, now we know. When there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
So yeah, classic nod, of course, to Romero there. And then let's see with the last quick clip here, and we'll come back. So this is just the ending for those who haven't seen Dawn of the Dead. This is one of the latter scenes where they are escaping the garage and getting out with the souped-up mall vans that they souped up and did some Fast and the Furious shit with. So yeah, let's take a look at the one clip that I love here. Audio's kind of jank on this clip, but sorry about that. So I'll pause it in the clip. There's just the shot, the camera shot here. Christ. There it is. That camera shot of just like the hordes of zombies attacking the van. Both vans. I just thought it was really cool when I first saw it when I was in movie theaters. It's just a crazy sequence. I didn't like, how are they going to get through this? How are they going to survive? There's no way. But then when they did the whole propane, I mean, another instance, Sam, of zombies intelligence is right here. It chucks the propane tank, and then some random zombie decides to pick it up.
Yep.
Yep, look at it. He looks at it. It's almost like he was going to throw it back at him.
He almost has like an oh shit face.
Yeah. And just all of them fall over. But yeah, so yeah, that is the last two clips we got here. But let me transition us back here and put them back on our tunes, and yeah, let's talk about those and wrap it up here.
Yeah, well, that scene you had with I believe the actor's name is Ken Foree.
Yeah.
So he was, as we saw previously in the 78 clips, he was the main hero. He was essentially Ving Rhames' character, the gun-toting badass that can take care of every terrible situation, and he does survive until the end. Oops, spoiler. But in the original, so this is interesting, they brought him to say when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth, the tagline of both films. It's interesting, the context is quite different. So in the original, he's quoting his grandfather. He said his grandfather was from Trinidad, I believe. So we're hearkening back to the older lore. Of course, I believe people do believe in zombieism. You can create a zombie, and even in Haiti to this day there are anti-zombie laws on the book, so people do take this seriously. But in the Caribbean, this is where zombies originated. So he's making that connection. Now, what's interesting about this, in the 2004, that is, he's playing this sort of evangelical type preacher who's talking about all of the moral misgivings of modern man through this more biblical lens. So it's interesting you have that aspect compared to maybe which at least my takeaway was it was more of a voodoo take in the original. And I think we see some of that. I don't in the raid scene.
I'm pretty sure 100. Totally believe that in the raid you do see voodoo. There is some voodoo reference of some sort of reference.
Yeah, I think it's very subtle, but and I could be wrong about this, but there's some stuff going on now. In any sense, it's interesting how maybe that was better for the modern take on who would be this apocalyptic preacher. And so of course that's kind of a trope that you see in movies and in literature. So that's a great clip. That's definitely a highlight in the movie for sure. In 2004.
I was gonna say we have two questions in chat actually. One fun one by Mad Rush. Let's play 78 versus 04 adjusted for inflation. Which made more money at the box office?
Well, if I were to guess, I'm gonna obviously assume 2004. Again, Dawn of the Dead. I think it was quite successful, especially its legacy, and maybe even more overseas than in the United States. There was a European cut, of course, which spawned these sort of like knockoff sequels. They weren't really sequels, and that's something else we can talk to if we ever do more zombie stuff. But which is a great conversation there.
Absolutely.
But essentially it was an X-rated film. It was unrated, so it didn't. I don't know exactly. I don't think it had much commercial appeal for most people. It was it's certainly not easy to stomach. Like how do you sell that?
Right.
Now that's not it. Would that is my point then that the 2004 is more commercially appealing? Yes. It's not X-rated. I think it's definitely violent, but I don't know. There's a bit. There's some sort of I would say that the way that you see blood and the gore and everything is sort of subdued in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know. That might just be me, but it is kind of dark, kind of hidden the shadows a bit. I don't think you don't see a feeding frenzy scene where people are getting their entrails ripped apart like you do in the original 1978 Dawn of the Dead. You don't see that sort of like cannibalism.
No, not in 04. You definitely see it in 78. I did want to just bring up a little. I was just looking it up. Was the Dawn of the Dead original? It had 13 times the budget of Night of the Living Dead. Dawn of the Dead, the 78 was made on a budget of 1.5 million, about 6 million in today's money. So, let's see. 04, Mad Rush coming in with the statistics here. 04 made 102 million in 2004. 78 made 66 million in 78, which is 191 mil in 04 dollars. So 78 would have almost doubled. Oh wow, that's a fun fact. That's pretty cool. Damn.
Oh, that just warms my heart. Yeah,
You're like, fuck Dawn of the Dead 04.
Never assume, but that would have been my. And I wonder too, is that also the international? Revenue and I don't know. I'll look into that, but that's a great little factoid there. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks, Mad Rush. And an odd acts, of course. Did any actors from 78 make a cameo in 04? Yes, we were just talking that clip scene where I pulled up was the main actor from the one that kind of like the evangelical reverend speaking about when the dead or when there's no more room left in hell, the dead will walk the earth. He is the main character of the 78 version. They brought him back just to do that cameo and to give that iconic line in the 04 retelling. So, international stats, Mad Rush said. Okay. If that's international stats, then heck yeah, man. I appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead. I know,
And Dawn of the Dead.
And Dawn of the Dead and Dawn of the Dead. It's we both have our favorites here, but we do share some love for both in some sort of ways. And I always, I you're like, let's see your face. Your face always makes me smile. I love the buddy grin. The buddy grin. It's great. It's too good.
Buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
I got something on my mind here.
Oh,
Maybe
let me hear
no,
it.
but you continue. You continue.
No. Hit me first, because I'm gonna get ready to wrap us up here.
Oh,
And then we'll kind of break.
yeah.
down
I
to the
mean,
next.
as far as I guess this is the whole. This is the conflict, right? So why would you say, like, generally speaking, is this sort of like modern take? Is that better? Like,
better
could you
word,
just like, could you go? You can look at 1978 and say, look how they're walking, like look how like corny that is, or something like that. But does modern necessarily mean better?
No, I agree with you. Like, I would say I do love Dawn of the Dead. And I definitely, I know in the past we've talked about this. We've talked about these movies many times in the past, you and I, just in our side conversations about horror as a whole. Like, we've always brought this up together. I mean, what I say, I mean, I'm definitely more of like, I'd say I lean more towards the modern side. Just 'cause I like to see the evolution of where zombies can go, what they can do, what like kind of changes in pace. I mean, not this like, the originals do hold a special place in my heart. They always will, no matter what. Like, even if they may seem dated to some people, or the effects might seem a little dated here and there, but it's like, it's just because everything's changing all the time in the film industry, and especially with effects, practical, and of course CGI or whatever. But I'm just someone who I definitely enjoy kind of keep pushing the element a bit, pushing it further and further. Kind of what more can we do with the zombie? What can it change? Well, yeah, I like to see where it can go. And I also like seeing when like people like Walking Dead bring back that old school feel, that old school vibe in a good way, and bring it in a positive light, like that walking. Like I said, Walking Dead did a great job with the show. I mean, the first like 4 or 5 seasons were great. After that, it just got repetitively boring. But overall, the show did a great justice, I feel like, to kind of paying homage to the old, slow, kind of ominous, not speaking zombies, not smart, kind of grunty zombies. So
yes. Okay. All right. Well, that's a measured response, Dylan.
What would you say, my friend? I know that you kind of live. Not that I feel like you got some modern in you a little bit. You got some modern in you.
Oh, I would hope so. Otherwise, people just think I'm a hack.
No, I know you got modern in you, but I know you definitely have a very strong love for the originals, and I know because that I feel like the originals ones especially hold a place in your heart, because that's like what you first saw. That's what really kind of brought you into. I mean, like, probably one thing that brought you into horror genre, right? Like, it's something that really got you into, aside from what we discussed previously with Michael Myers in our past podcast in the last one. But I'm sure this was definitely a very iconic for your growing up and getting into the horror genre as a whole.
Oh, most definitely. And it's one that I also returned to.
Yeah.
Back in the early days of Netflix, my parents had a subscription to like the DVD mail-in service there.
Yeah.
And I would look forward to every weekend having a new DVD shipped in, and I must have watched Dawn of the Dead on a couple occasions. Now, is it dated? Yes. It's interesting. I don't want to go on too long, but I think the dated quality gives it a bit of charm. In fact, it's something interesting. We take a lot of things for granted, but in Dawn of the Dead, shopping malls were novel. They were something completely new. In fact, the characters in the beginning of the movie, they're looking down at the mall from their helicopter, and they're like, wait, what's that? It's one of those shopping centers, a mall. It's like it's something very new and fresh. So yeah, it doesn't take long for a concept to become dated.
Yeah.
But I think you can have appreciation for that too, with that context. And some things always hold up.
Of course.
I mean, I think that scene in the beginning with the raid is just like, that's top of the line horror. Like I don't think it gets any better than that.
Unsettling. It's disturbing. It's unsettling.
That's well, yes, exactly, and certainly, as we saw with that opening sequence of the 2004 Dawn of the Dead, there's the unsettling aspects there as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess it comes to a matter of preference, style,
for sure,
and special effects versus CGI and all of these things. But yeah. It's for me, it's got to be the original.
OG.
One of the best movies of all time, and I'll take that to my grave.
I know you will. I love it though, man. I love it. No, and as you should. I mean, we all we all have our films that and again, I don't mean to be negative with when I mean dated. I mean, like I said, there are effects are gonna be dated.
No, that's right.
Yeah, it's but there are a lot of things in that movie and movies in that era that hold up to today, that still are talked about from the 70s to the 80s, and 90s, even now, 90s is kind of creeping up as older, but it's those films, there's effects and all that really, people, other directors now kind of pull from and utilize and pay homage to, or of some manner or some sort. So, yeah. It was a good chat, man. I enjoyed it. I mean, you taught me a lot of stuff. Like I said, I knew that you had the brains of all of 78 behind you, because that's something I was severely lacking. I mean, I appreciate all the insight and everything. Some facts from our chat, a lot of great facts from you, a lot of good stuff. It was really fun. I enjoyed this one a lot.
Absolutely.
Mad Rush said, glad I tuned in. Well, yeah. It was special, man. It was a good time. And these videos, just so you guys know, these videos are going to be uploaded to YouTube. Both are Halloween. We did about 2 weeks ago, we did Halloween with Michael Myers, the original one, 1978. And I'm going to put that on YouTube, as well as this one. So,
congratulations!
Thanks for that, Mad Rush. Awesome show. Hey, thanks, Audax. So just a heads up, we're going to take a break now, because I'm not going to be streaming next week, so I'll be on vacation with my family. We're going to be going on a cruise together, so I'll be out of town.
Bon voyage.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So we'll be gone for the week. So, but when I get back, we'll probably resume a normal stream schedule, and then I'll get together with Chillstorm here, and we'll try to bring on a special guest for our next one. I'm going to try to see what we can do, but ideally, we're going to try to talk about something WWE. We're going to kind of keep the mix up going. So I think WWE will be the next shot for us. It will be going
some wrestling,
some good old wrestling. Yeah, we're gonna talk about some good old fashioned wrestling, some real wrestling, not that shit you see in the Olympics. Real wrestling. So yeah, so we'll figure it out. Sam and I will talk. We'll try to get some people together. We'll try to get someone to get on the show with us. That'd be really fun. So we'll figure it out, and we'll start pitching ideas and what pay-per-view we can discuss. And we'll probably try to, for this first go around, we might pull a throwback. Or if I can convince Sam to watch Crown Jewel, we'll do that.
Ooh, buddy, that's gonna be a tough one.
Modern wrestling is. I love your modern take. This is great. It's so fun to hear. We have so many good discussions of wrestling. So our wrestling want to be a funny one for sure. We'll have a lot of shit to shoot around.
Yeah, looking forward to that one.
So we had a recommendation: Survivor Series of 2002. That was the year what? The Rock? No. That was was it The Rock that? No, wait. I'm thinking SummerSlam. God damn, I can't remember. Oh, that was when wasn't that Jericho beating Stone Cold and The Rock in the same night? I think so. I think that was it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but we'll figure it out.
Sounds about right to me.
It sounds right. All right. Well, I think, that's where we're going to wrap it up. My mom says RKO. Yeah, we'll talk about Randy. Don't worry. We'll get Randy on here eventually.
She has some Randy stories, doesn't she?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, my mom has met Randy Orton twice. She's met Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan. Ric Flair wooed in my mom's face.
Oh, God.
You're like, oh, God. Out of context, that sounds terrible. It's sounds kind of awful. I wooed in your face. Woo!
Well, maybe it was an honor.
It wasn't. By the Nature Boy. Oh, God. Anyways, so that's a wrap for us. As far as movies and TV shows, obviously on deck for TV shows, we do want to talk about The Boys. That's one of our shows, like our top priority shows that we do want to discuss. So that's going to take a little time for us to get ready for that one. So we'll probably try to aim for that sometime before maybe the end of November, if not the beginning of December. That's what we'll aim for The Boys, hopefully. So if you haven't seen The Boys, FYI, spoiler alert, we highly recommend you watch it. It's one of our favorite shows. It's a great comic book, graphic novel. I highly recommend checking it out. It's on Amazon Prime, and they are currently filming season 3 right now, or I'm sorry, season 4 is currently in production. So great cast, just an overall really, really well done show. So
lots of twists and turns and awesome moments.
Absolutely. So yeah, with that, that's a wrap for Dawn of the Dead and Halloween month here. It was really fun. Until next time, I will see you guys later. From my man here, all the way over from a buddy all the way from Hong Kong, coming in. Thank you for the time today, and yeah, we'll see you guys soon. We'll see you guys pretty soon. Take care, y'all.
Later.
Bye, y'all.